Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Asya Afifa di episode kali ini, and I will answer the chapter 6, Psycholinguistics. The first question is describe the process of establishing co-reference. Discuss some of the factors that complicate the process. How are co-referential process related to inference generating process? So co-reference resolution is a natural language processing or NLP process that identifies and connects all mentions of the same item or notion in the text. This process is critical for understanding a text meaning and context since it establishes connection between various portions of the text. Several elements go into co-reference resolution includes the form of referring expression, sentence syntactic structure, and the context where the objects are stated. Ambiguity is a significant difficulty in co-reference resolution. A single phrase or word might have numerous meanings, making it difficult to understand which one is meant in a given context. Variability is another issue complicating co-reference resolution. Different entities may take various forms of or expression, making it difficult to contain them. Co-reference resolution is strongly connected to inference generating process in NLP. Inference generation is the process of making logical deduction from information in the text. Co-reference resolution lays the groundwork for inference generation by determining the relationship between various items in the text. By connecting these elements, co-reference resolution enables NLP algorithms to produce more precise and pertinent text inference. Next question is, how many different kinds of anaphors are there? Why do we have so many? When do different kinds of anaphors get used? What makes some anaphors easier to process than others? What characteristics of anaphors matter? How do characteristics of the antecedent affects co-reference? Different types of anaphors like pronouns and demonstrative offer varied ways to refer back to previous entities or concepts. Choose based on grammatical rules, discourse context, and pragmatic factors. The specificity and silence of the referent influence their usage. Pronouns are often easier to process due to their frequency and clarity. Characteristics such as grammatical role and semantic compatibility with antecedent matter for successful co-reference. Antecedent characteristics are like silence and accessibility affects co-reference resolution, with prominent ones being more reliably linked with anaphors. Okay. Next is describe implicit causality and explain how it affects co-reference. Implicit causality is when we automatically assume who's causing something based on the context, even if it's not explicitly stated. For example, if we say John annoyed Mary because, we might automatically think John is the one causing annoyance. This idea of implicit causality affects co-reference, which is when pronouns or words refer back to something earlier in the sentence. So, if we continue our example with Sue praise Sarah because the word she might make us think Sue is the one doing something later in the sentence. But if it refers to Sarah, we think Sarah is the one being praised. Implicit causality influences how we connect these words in a sentence, even when the sentence is super clear. Next question is, why is it weird to say the pastor conducted the wedding ceremony and a bride look beautiful? The sentence is unusual not because it used anaphoric pronouns, but because of the context in which it is used. There are no uncommon or difficult to process anaphors in the line, and the parser and the bride are referred to with clear pronouns. Because the language is short and basic, it is easy to comprehend. Because there is just a single antecedent or the pastor and the anaphor, the bride, the antecedent attributes have no direct effect on co-reference in the sentence. In addition, the sentence is not difficult to understand and the antecedents qualities have no direct impact on co-reference in this case. Next question is, when is it a bad idea to use very specific or explicit anaphora and why? Using highly specific words to refer back to something in a sentence can sometimes be a bad idea because it might confuse people if the thing they refer to isn't clear or easy to figure out from the context. These complex or overly specific words can make understanding harder and require more mental efforts, which might not be ideal, especially if people are in a hurry or dealing with distraction. Also, not everyone might understand the specific words, making it tough for them to get message. Additionally, if there are multiple things that the specific word could refer to, it might cause confusion about what exactly is being talked about. So, it's important to keep things clear and simple when communicating, avoiding overly specific words that could make understanding more difficult for the listeners or reader. Next question is, what does binding theory say about code reference? Describe experimental result that cast doubt on some aspect of binding theory. Binding theory in psycholinguistics explains how words like pronouns connect to the things they refer to in sentence. It says that certain rules determine how pronouns like himself or herself link to the right thing in a sentence. However, some experiments have shown that these rules don't always work as expected. For example, in some language like Japanese or Korean, there are special pronouns that can refer to things far away in the sentence, not just nearby. The challenge the usual rules. In one study mentioned by Traxler, people read sentence with the special pronouns. Surprisingly, they didn't take longer to understand the sentence, even though according to binding theory, they should have been harder to process. This suggests that our understanding of language might be more flexible than binding theory suggests. It shows that sometimes we can understand sentence even when the usual rules about pronouns don't apply exactly as expected. Okay, so the last question is compare and contrast the memory focus model, the centering theory, and the confirmation load hypothesis. Okay, so the first one is memory focus model. The model says that when we understand language, we're mostly trying to remember and connect the information we already know with what we are hearing or reading. It suggests that there is too much information to keep track of, or if things are competing for our attention, understanding might be harder. Okay, second one is centering theory. Imagine a conversation. Centering theory is like focusing on the most important person or thing being talked about at any moment. It says that as the conversation goes on, this focus might shift to something else if they become more important or relevant. Last one is information load hypothesis. This idea is about how hard it is for our brains to process complex or confusing language. It says that sentence with A lot of information or weak, tricky grammar might make it harder for us to understand them quickly or accurately. So while they all talk about how we understand language, they look at the different aspects. The memory focus model talks about memory and connection, centering theory focus on what's important in a conversation, and the information load hypothesis talks about how hard sentences are to understand. Okay, I think that's all from my group. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.